Well, this is it. The end of the line. We either stop Saren here, or we don't. Chasing him all over the galaxy has led us full circle right back here to where we started, huh? And we know what his plans are. It's to take control of the Citadel, then pass that off to Sovereign, who will in turn use this as something of a portal or a back door to bring in the rest of its Reaper buddies so they can go about doing what they like to do every 50,000 years or so, which is, well, kill everybody. I don't particularly like the sound of that. We have other plans. First, we got to put a stop to this guy. Then we have that small matter of a Reaper to deal with, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
The Citadel's closing. They're sealing the station. Don't let the enemy ships inside the arms.
Wow, to just brush off an elite Turian battlecruiser like it's a mosquito or something. Yeah, I don't think anyone was prepared for these guys. Certainly wouldn't want to face a fleet of them, right? Now notice Sovereign kind of rolls in like it owns the place, which it essentially does. And it's about to dock on the tip of the Citadel tower, almost like it was made for it, which it was. This is where Saren's at right now, trying to hack into the mainframe, which is exactly what we're trying to put a stop to. But, yeah, once it docks here, I guess it gains control of the station, and from there, we can start the whole Reaper invasion thing. The Citadel is essentially a key element to their harvesting. That's what you want to call it. But yeah, see, perfect fit.
Saren's locked the elevator. Suit up. We're going outside.
That's right. If you're going to save the galaxy, do it like a boss. That means get out on foot, climb a skyscraper, and go face to face with a Reaper. With a pistol. With some authority. That's right. Now, the Reaper invasions are contingent upon certain things falling into place. I think they calculate for a lot of variables, right? Stuff not going exactly according to this or that, right? There's some leeway there. But certain things pretty much have to happen. And thanks to the help of the Protheans, now we learned this from Vigil. That's why it's so important to talk to Vigil on Ilos and go through all that dialogue, because he gives you so much lore in such a small number of words. I mean, he really passes along a lot. Gives you, if nothing else, a plot, exactly how the Reapers go about doing what they do. Now, the why of it is still kind of up in the air. I think some of that is for each individual player's interpretation a little bit. I have my own theories as to why the Reapers and the machines do what they do. But as far as their method, it's pretty slick, actually. It's kind of simple. But it really adds to the plot and story of the game. Okay, so certain things have to fall into place. Key elements. Primarily is that the primary species, the most, I guess you could say, relevant species during any given cycle in the galaxy, pretty much are required to have their central seat of government in the Citadel. This is how the Protheans fell. They ruled their empire from here, from the Citadel, and this is where the Reapers attack first. This is essentially the Reaper base of operations. So as long as all the galactic species rely upon this one central point for guidance, if you take out the head, well, the rest of the body is sure to fall. That's kind of the logic there, right? And so what they need to do during any given cycle is kind of nudge or influence all the species to kind of, what would you say, congregate on the Citadel and use it as a central seat of government, right? Which is the case here also. Sort of. But there are some anomalies which I don't think have been accounted for here, which are outside even the Reaper's vast computing capabilities and whatever, right? We'll get into that. But the other thing is that the species and races, and this is a little easier, need to become reliant upon Reaper technology, like the mass relays. The mass relays are set up in such a way as they not only allow easy access to the farthest reaches of the galaxy, right? But they allow easy communications and easy contact with one another. So, first, when the races come face to face, some of them go to war like we did with the Turians and so on and so forth, right? But once the individual species work out their difference, they begin to naturally form bonds and alliances. Well, the computers, the machines, the Reapers, can kind of calculate that and calculate the odds of all these governments joining one another and allying with one another. And sure enough, you're going to have a few enemies in there, but that's fine. That's an acceptable variable, right? As long as the primary species get together, ally themselves together, form at least loose bonds and allegiances and things like that, and keep their central government here, and use these mass relays to stay in touch with one another, they will eventually learn to rely upon the Citadel and rely upon the relays. And that's really what the Reapers are counting on. That really has to be in place. And so Vigil even went a step further, and he talked about the Reapers leaving behind one of their own. In this case, this would be Sovereign, okay? To basically observe during the course of the 50,000 years or so between each harvesting session. And what they do is they will even indoctrinate here and there a few key people, like say a key political official or military personnel or whatever, to infiltrate governments and stuff and nudge those people along in the direction that the Reapers would have them go. Just a little nudge here and a little nudge there. Nothing you can really point to specifically. And considering the fact that everyone considers the whole idea of Reapers being like the boogeyman, no one's really going to believe you anyway. The thought that Reapers could possibly be behind some kind of conspiracy, right, to infiltrate your government and undermine your entire galactic species and blah, 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 well, nobody's going to hear that, okay? And so the Reapers can pretty much have their way. And then when the signal comes, what they rely on is the Keepers here to basically take control of the Citadel systems and open the door for the Reapers to come in, take out the head of government first, shut down all the mass relays, which everyone is leaning heavily upon. They're reliant upon them. Cut off all communication, cut off all contact, and then once you've isolated all the individual species, they're weak on their own. Together as a unified force, they might be a problem. But when left each to their own, well, then they become much weaker and much easier to harvest, I guess you could say, or deal with. And that's really the scenario that you have. That's how they've had their success. Well, there's some things that they weren't accounting for this time. A few wrenches they got thrown into their little machine there, thrown into the cogs and kind of messed things up. One is the Protheans installed a program in the Citadel. Now that the Keepers, being an organic species, right? They may not be the most independent of all the different species, and they, apparently they may be like the oldest species in existence, right? But one thing they have done is adapted, and they've grown out of Reaper control, probably because the Reapers haven't been in proximity to them. You know, you don't have a Reaper hanging out on the Citadel. You have a Reaper hanging out generally in space, watching things until such a time as it's time for the harvest to come, right? So the Keepers have essentially grown off on their own. They're still available on the Citadel when the signal comes, but what the Protheans did is, now that the Keepers can kind of essentially at least sort of think for themselves, and they aren't a direct, I guess you could say, computer tool for the Reapers, is what they did was they put a program in there to block that signal from ever being sent to the Keepers in the first place. And so when the Reapers commanded that the door be open, they found out that the door was locked, and Sovereign was left hanging by himself. Well, I guess if you have 1 million Sovereigns all together, yeah, that'd be an overwhelming force. you really couldn't do anything about that, especially when it catches you by surprise and you're already beaten before the war even starts, type thing, which is where the Reaper's success comes in. And they've grown arrogant over the last few million years or whatever. You know, if machines are capable of being arrogant, well, the Reapers are certainly that. And so, another variable that I don't think they accounted for was humanity. And humanity being a relatively young species, very young, having come into the mix. Shepard is obviously something they didn't account for at all. I don't know if the attempt to indoctrinate Shepard was there. I don't know if they managed to corrupt the beacon on Eden Prime or this or that. But obviously the indoctrination didn't place, and Shepard's will is above and beyond anything they factored in. And so the thing is, as long as you fall in line with the acceptable parameters, which the Reapers calculate, right? Between each harvest cycle, that's one thing. Well, I think Shepard falls outside those parameters. I think our character is essentially an uncontrolled anomaly in all of this, right? And on top of that, the Protheans doing that slick stuff on the Citadel in secret, they got to find another means to do this. And so in an act of desperation, you have Sovereign here trying to take control of the Citadel, which basically trying to come in through the back door to do what used to be done for them by the Keepers. Right now they're trying to come in and do it manually. Finding out that this was a thing and finding a back door into the Citadel was only available through the Protheans, so they used Saren as a tool for that. Right? They had to find some other measure by which to gain access to the Citadel, because being machines, well, they're huge. They can't just walk onto the Citadel. This is a battleship, not a person. All right, so they had to find an agent, essentially, that was capable of not only infiltrating the information in the beacons, because the Protheans were slick, and I kind of called this one, if I'm going to pat myself on the back a little bit, is that the Protheans program that specifically so that a machine can't read it. And that's the one thing the machines cannot have, is an organic mind. I think it's the one thing they crave more than anything else. Because it's an unknowable quantity to them. It's something they can't calculate. It's something they can't compute. Free will, a living soul. It's something they can't program for themselves or evolve into. Like I say, it's the difference between life and machine, right? And so I think that's where a lot of the moral of the Mass Effect story boils down to. Honestly, it's really the simple underlying motive to why the Reapers do all that they do. That's kind of where my theory lies, just, you know, kind of a heads up. We'll talk about that more, especially through Mass Effect 2, and especially once we get into Mass Effect 3. But anyway, bottom line, it doesn't really matter why they're doing it. It's that they're doing it, and we need to put a stop to it, right? Or else it's not even going to matter. The Vigil made a really good point in that. But so that's pretty much their method, right? That's what they're doing and how they're doing it. Like I say, the why is kind of secondary. All right, so these are the variables they didn't account for, and this is really the thing working in our favor. Is this is something that the Reapers really can't deal with. This same free will that they can't have is the very same free will that may possibly be a threat to them, right? And I think they're just beginning to see that. Now that they try to find some way to possibly control Shepard, that remains to be seen, right? But, well, indoctrination didn't work. And I was thinking about indoctrination too, and I'm just going to kind of throw this out there. Could, what do they call it? Nanotechnology? Nanomachines? If you remember in Shepard's vision how it showed what looked like little mechanical things attached to maybe brain matter or cells or something like that, is it possible nanomachines collect and get in there and reprogram, rewire, and redirect the messages and signals and say the brain and stuff like that, and not only influence the thinking and the motives of the person it's infecting, but also possibly give that person powers and abilities, but on the same token degrading the very thing that makes that person a person, which is that person's humanity. Cutting off from that person, ironically, the very thing that the Reapers probably wish to possess, which is individual character and stuff like that. I mean, you know, even if that's not the case, isn't that just cool? Like, the whole concept? Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that just makes me go, wow, how badass is that? Anyway, so, and I'm kind of jumping all over, but it's pretty complex. I mean, it's simple. It's simple. Their method is get a centralized government, get the head of all the states in one place, so that when you come in, that's the first place you strike, and you take the head off, right? And the body is just left to wither and die. And then you cut off each member of the body by disconnecting all the mass relays that everyone's become reliant upon, all right? And then you go systematically wipe out those species which you feel like culling. And the ones you feel like leaving behind, you can leave those behind. And you set the mass relays up in such a way as to tactically isolate each individual star system. I mean, isn't that cool? Like who thought of that? I just think it's badass. Anyway. So that's kind of moral. At least that's what I gathered. That's what I gathered from watching it. Like I say, I haven't read all the Mass Effect books and stuff, or watched, their films and movies and things. I know they're out there. Oh, one day I may actually do that, to go back and just see where I was right and where I was wrong. But that's the story I get. And you know what? In and of itself, that's enough, because it's really been worth it to learn the Mass Effect story just by playing it, or at least my version of it, my interpretation of it. We'll get farther into it. I try to take all the evidence the game gives me and learn and draw a clearer picture of exactly who's doing what, and who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, who's allied with who's making this happen, who's the tool, who's the brains of the operation, and who's, it just, all that kind of stuff. It's just amazing. So anyway, these variables, I think Shepard being the key variable, right? But other things, what the Protheans have passed along is, I think we've come to the pinnacle. We've come to the peak. We've come to that point that maybe the machines were always after in the first place, is to get to a certain point where species have evolved, where you find a character that you would like to personify. I wonder if Shepard isn't the embodiment of everything the Reapers wish to be, and they found the one thing that expresses pure free will, pure choice. I mean, I wonder if the entire idea for the Mass Effect story didn't come from the concept of choice that we harp about so often in RPGs. Isn't that really the definition, the epitome of choice? Is it's the one thing that defines what makes you is the choices you make, really, essentially, right? It's what establishes your legacy as a person, whatever that may be. The impact, the mark you leave on the world is the choices you made, type of thing. And so it really all comes down to that. Well, they really made that the key part of the story. You see what I'm getting at? And then that almost puts it in a poetic sense. So you're going beyond just a badass sci-fi story here. Now you're getting it's almost poetry. I mean, this is like writing music and words all at the same time. It's just, I don't know, it's pretty amazing. Anyway, if you can't tell, I'm pretty fond of this game. Seriously am. It's way too cool. And I'm not gonna lie, the picture's getting even clearer as I'm sitting here talking about it. I'm like forming even a more defined idea of exactly what's going on here, and it's just cooler and cooler the more I think about it. So I'm actually gonna learn a little bit as we go along here. And I guess each time you play through the game, you'll catch something you missed before, and it will add another piece to the puzzle. And yeah, anyway, pretty cool. All right, showdown time. What? Come here, you bitch. I got something to say to you. Yeah, figures.
I was afraid you wouldn't make it in time, Shepard.
Had to wipe out a few hundred of your followers along the way. Sorry if I kept you waiting.
You've lost. You know that, don't you? In a few minutes, Sovereign will have full control of all the Citadel systems. The relay will open. The Reapers will return.
I'm heading to that master control panel and you can't stop me.
You survived our encounter on Vermeer, but I've changed since then. Improved. Sovereign has upgraded me.
Fancy hardware's not gonna save you.
You don't understand, Shepard. There is a place for organics in the New Order. The Reapers need men and women of action. People like us. Sovereign recognizes your value. You've impressed it. Surrender to the Reapers, and you will be spared. Join us, and we can find a place for you.
I'd rather die than live like that.
Then you will die, and your companions. Everyone you know and love. Everyone you've ever met. Don't you understand? You will all die. The Reapers can't be stopped. Not by the Protheans, not by you. The cycle always continues.
The Reapers don't use organics, they devour and discard them. As soon as the conquest is over, you'll be cast aside.
I had no choice. You saw the visions. You saw what happened to the Protheans. Surrender or death. There are no other options.
You could have resisted, you could have fought. Instead, you surrendered, you quit.
Maybe you're right. Maybe there is still a chance for... The implants. Sovereign is too strong. I'm sorry. It is too late for me.
There's still one way to stop this, if you've got the guts.
Goodbye, Shepard. Thank you.
Save me the trouble, bastard. No pity for you. No excuse. No, no, no. Now please keep this in mind. Reaper-based implants. Reaper-based implants. Influencing, being too strong, okay?
Vigil's data file worked. I've got control of all systems.
Quick! Open the station's arms. Maybe the fleet can take Sovereign down before he regains control of the station.
See if you can open a communications channel.
The Destiny Ascension. Main drives offline. Kinetic barriers down 40%. The Council is on board. I repeat, the Council is on board.
Normandy to the Citadel. Normandy to the Citadel. Please tell me that's you, Commander.
You were expecting someone else?
We caught that distress call, Commander. I'm sitting here in the Endura sector with the entire Arcturus fleet. We can save the Ascension. Just unlock the relays around the Citadel and we'll send the cavalry in.
Are you sure about this, Shepard? Human casualties will be very high if you send your fleet in now.
This is bigger than humanity. Sovereign is a threat to every organic species in the galaxy.
True. That's why you can't waste reinforcements trying to save the Council. You must hold them back until the Citadel arms open up and the human fleet can go after Sovereign.
What's the
Absolutely.
order, Commander? Come in now to save the Ascension, or hold back?
Hold off, Joker. We're not sacrificing human lives to save the Council. Keep our ships back until they can get a shot at Sovereign.
A sacrifice for the greater good. I only pray it is not made in vain.
All Alliance ships, hold formation. Wait for a shot at Sovereign. Nothing else matters. I repeat, nothing else matters.
Commander, we're picking up reinforcements.
It's the Alliance! Open a comm channel! This is the Ascension. We're taking heavy damage. Guardian defenses are overwhelmed. Kinetic barriers are offline.
Commander, they closed the channel.
There we go. Get those arms open. Same thing that's supposed to let the Reapers out. It's going to let us in. That's right. Okay, there was no grudge whatsoever
Make
in my
sure he's
judgment
dead.
and thinking there. None. Okay, now, true enough, logic dictates that you don't waste however many hundreds of thousands of human lives to possibly save a few irrelevant bureaucrats, right? When you need those lives to fight the actual threat that's present, which is the Reaper. That's the whole point. Whether the council is in danger or not is irrelevant. It doesn't change it one way or the other. You have these ships here to fight the enemy, period. That's their job. And in the off chance that you might be able to save the council and all die anyway, because the Reaper gets to hang around until it finally gains control of the Citadel and ends all galactic life. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna save I'm not gonna save 1,000 bureaucrats for that when millions are at stake. That kind of thinking sounds insidiously evil. One might want to question themselves in real life if they're thinking that way in the game. Well, I understand if you want Paragon points or whatever, but that they made that a Paragon choice to do something so evil as to be essentially responsible for the murder of a lot of people just to save some thankless bureaucrats who were responsible for this happening in the first place, that's not a Paragon choice. That's one where the writers, their judgment is just a little backwards. Might want to question themselves a little bit on that.
I am sovereign, and this station is mine.
Now, I'll tell you guys, notice we're in a small arena, and that makes this seem like a real dangerous boss battle or whatever. As long as you have lift, even if you're not playing an Adept, as long as you have Liara with you and she can lift, this is pretty much easy mode. It's not a big deal. He has a lot of health on Insanity, and he will hit you with, what is that, damping or overcharge or whatever. He'll overheat your guns and do all this and that, but as long as you have the ability to keep him basically incapacitated, you're pretty much good. And warp is nice because it allows him to take extra damage. Like I say, on Insanity, you got to whittle this guy down. He's got some health. Some hell of a shields too, look at that. Cryo rounds are nice because they ignore some of his shields also. So even while you're working on his shields, you can still do a little damage to him in the process. Yeah, his main dangerous thing is when he posts up and he's allowed to sit there for a long time and he starts shooting like these big energy balls at you. They're basically like missiles. I think it's almost like he's got Carnage, like Tally has with the shotgun, but it's like a submachine gun to Carnage. And he starts pelting you with it. And he lays down this barrage of these things, and it's like, it's like shooting a bunch of missiles at you, so that can be pretty bad. But anyway, as long as you don't let him settle like that for too long, just like I say, keep him lifted, keep him incapacitated as much as you can. It's not that big of a deal. A singularity doesn't really affect him, notice that. It doesn't really affect him the same way. Of course, when you don't have lift available, that's why you want max cooldowns too, when possible. Remember I was saying I'd rather have cooldowns over power, because you want your ability available as often as possible. Duration is good too, but cooldown I think is most important of all that. Here we go. Oh, and the game didn't freeze. Awesome. Awesome. See, look, this guy can just cut battleships in half.
We have to pull back.
Negative. This is our only chance. Take that monster down no matter what the cost.
Yeah, now imagine if we had wasted all our ships to save the council. Odds are we'd probably still kick Sovereign's ass anyway, but the cost, you know? Now what's interesting here, and also keep this in mind for future Mass Effects, one is Reaper-influenced tech and implants, all right? Just keep that in the back of your head, all right? Also, the Geth, if they considered Saren something of a prophet, in a sense, and they considered a Reaper something of a god, if we can beat this Reaper in front of their face, right in front of them, how would the Geth take that? Okay, and then we'll throw this on top of that. If they consider Saren a prophet, and they consider this sovereign, this Reaper, something of a god of sorts, or a representative of their gods, like an idol, then if Shepard is capable of somehow defeating this thing, or is responsible for the defeat of this thing, assuming we can win here, somehow save the day, then how would the Geth take that? What would they consider that? You see what I'm getting at? Just some things to keep in mind as we head forth. Like I said, if it looked like it's semi in easy mode, lift has a lot to do with that. It breaks him out of his little pattern of jumping around and shooting you with missiles and shit. That's it. No more Saren, hopefully. Unless he can come back from the ashes there. Son of a bitch. And you hear that fire burning sound? Not good. Yeah. Oh, I gotta apologize for this. We got through without a freeze, but notice the sound's out. The sound cut off
Its
here.
shields are down. Now's our chance.
But considering we're playing on Insanity, that we got through without it freezing, this is a problem on the Mass Effect trilogy, at least for PS3. If you buy the trilogy set, this ending
Hard on
here,
my flank. We're going in.
my last playthrough, just to get the Insanity difficulty unlocked so that we could do this, it took me like 5 tries on this battle, and each part had a different problem. It was either a freeze, or the sound cut off, or a graphics glitch, or something. Something went terribly wrong, and I had to redo the battle over and over just to get through it. Made it through without a problem here, other than this. And I'm sorry about the sound right here, other than the little bit of dialogue, but notice how it was Joker who came in and put in that winning shot. You like that? That's the Joker we know, showing his flying skills, but the sound's back anyway. I'll apologize for that, but at least we made it through, and I was thankful for that. First try. Didn't have to redo it 15 times just to get through it, so. Now there's Reaper tech all over the Citadel. I'm sure the Reapers never planned on having one of their own ever destroyed, right? So,
Captain Anderson, we found them. They're in here.
That's a lot of stuff just laying around for people to get their hands on.
Take it easy. It's over. You're safe now. Where's the commander? We got your message, Ambassador. What's all this about?
No need to get worked up, Captain. I'd like to end this meeting with all my teeth still in place.
You should thank me for what I did. If the Normandy was still grounded, we'd all be dead right now.
I understand, Captain. You did what you had to do. That's not why you're here. We need to talk about what happened to the Council.
Commander Shepard did the right thing. We had to hold our fleet back to go after Sovereign. It was the only way.
I agree, but this also presents us with an opportunity. The Council is dead. The galaxy is looking for leadership. The Citadel fleets were decimated in the attack. Their losses have made the Alliance stronger. If we step forward now, nobody will be able to stop us.
You have a plan?
The galaxy needs leadership, real leadership. When a crisis hits, we can't be paralyzed by debate like the old Council. The new council must rule with a single voice. It must be assembled from one species alone, humanity.
The rest of the galaxy isn't just gonna bow down because we tell them to.
The other species are scared. They've never faced anything like this before. They don't know what to do. They want us to step forward. They believe in humanity because of you. Your ruthless pursuit of Saren and the Geth, your defiance of the Council, that's what humans are capable of. That's how we can defeat the Reapers. The others will follow us, Shepard. They know we're their only hope. We will have a human council with a human chairman.
The ambassador's right. I may not like it, but we can't deny the truth.
Given everything you've done, Commander, the Alliance will want to know who you think our chairman should be.
That's easy.
We're about to go into war. We need someone with military experience. Someone like Captain Anderson.
You make a good case. Captain, are you ready for this?
I don't know if any of us are ready for this, but I'll do what I can. So what happens now?
You two can argue politics all you want, but the Reapers are still out there. They are coming, and I'm gonna find some way to stop them.
Shepard's right. We're headed for war with the Reapers. If we lose, it's the end of all life as we know it. And no other species in the galaxy truly understands what it will take to survive. The other races will have to follow our lead. We need to take control. It's time for humanity to rise up and seize its destiny.
Now, Udina's motives were wrong, right? But he was still right. As far as just the brutal truth of it is that somebody needs to do this, and we are the anomaly that the Reapers aren't counting on. But I'd rather have a loyal soldier not serving himself in place, leading our troops against the greatest threat anyone's ever seen, than some sellout snake bitch serving himself. He's already proven its true colors, so yeah, that was an easy choice to make. We don't need a politician. We need somebody with some decency and some courage at the helm, so to speak. Whatever my choice is worth, that'd be my choice in the matter. All right, well, let's go get on Mass Effect 2. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you if you hung out for this ride. I hope you enjoyed it, and there'll be more of this to come. If you want to subscribe, click the button up top, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.